The lights dim gently. Welcome to the dimmed light. Are you ready for a calm journey? Take a deep breath. Relax. You are resting in a quiet, high, ceilinged room within the stone walls of an old infirmary. It is the late Middle Ages, somewhere secluded and safe. The air is cool and smells faintly of dried sage and beeswax candles. Outside, the heavy wooden shutters are slightly ajar, letting in a sliver of the late afternoon golden light, which dances with slow, moving dust motes. You lie under the weight of thick, rough, spun wool blankets, feeling a heavy, pleasant tiredness in your limbs. Far away, barely audible, there is the rhythmic chanting of monks and the soft rustle of leaves in the cloister garden. There is no urgency here, only the slow, steady passage of time needed for the body to mend itself. You are lying still, completely surrendered to the pull of gravity. The bed beneath you is not merely a surface, but a deep, embracing cradle that seems to understand the shape of your exhaustion. It is a sturdy wooden frame built from old, darkened oak that has stood in this corner for generations, holding the weight of many sleepers before you. Inside the mattress, beneath the layers of linen, the straw is packed tight, yet it yields softly to the pressure of your shoulders, your hips, and your heels. There is a faint, dry rustle every time you shift, a sound like autumn leaves settling on a forest floor, whispering of nature and quietude. This sound is close to your ear, a private conversation between the weight of your body and the earth from which the straw was harvested. Covering you is a blanket of thick, rough, spun wool, heavy and significant. It presses down upon your chest, a comforting burden that anchors you to this moment, preventing your mind from drifting back to the worries of the outside world. You can feel the texture of the weave against your fingertips, the coarse, natural fibers that still carry the faint, oily scent of lanolin. It is a smell of the fields, of sheep grazing on distant hillsides under a pale sun, a smell that speaks of simplicity and protection. The wool is not soft in the way of silk, but it is warm, trapping your body heat and creating a cocoon of temperate air around you. This warmth is slow to build, but once it settles, it feels like a physical shield against the cool air of the room. The air in the room is still, holding a coolness that radiates from the thick stone walls. You turn your head slightly to the left, and your cheek brushes against the pillowcase. The linen is old, softened by countless washings, cool and smooth against your warm skin. It smells faintly of lavender and sunlight, a memory of the day it was dried in the monastery garden. Next to the bed, the wall rises, constructed of uneven gray stones, fitted together with ancient mortar. You can sense the chill emanating from the stone, a stark contrast to the warmth of your bed, reminding you of the shelter you have found here. The stone is solid, immovable, a testament to endurance and permanence in a world that often feels fleeting. Your eyes drift upward, tracing the lines of the heavy timber beams that cross the ceiling. They are dark, almost black in the dim light, hewn from massive tree trunks by hands long forgotten. You follow the grain of the wood, the knots and fissures that form landscapes of shadow and texture above you. Between the beams, the plaster is white but shadowed, catching the fading light from the window in soft, graduated grays. There is no pattern to decipher here, no puzzle to solve, only the simple geometry of shelter. The ceiling feels protective, a heavy lid placed over the room to keep the silence in. You take a slow breath, feeling your ribcage expand against the weight of the heavy wool. The air you inhale is cool and clean, filtering through your nose and filling your lungs with a sense of clarity. You hold the breath for a gentle moment, feeling the stillness inside you, before releasing it in a long, quiet sigh. With the exhale, your body seems to sink an inch deeper into the straw mattress. The tension in your neck begins to dissolve, flowing down through your shoulders and arms, escaping out through your fingertips. Your legs feel incredibly heavy, like logs of wood sinking into a soft riverbed, unable and unwilling to move. The light in the room is changing, shifting imperceptibly as the afternoon wears on. A single beam of sunlight, thick with dancing dust motes, angles across the foot of your bed. You watch the dust motes drift, suspended in the golden shaft, moving with a chaotic but slow grace. They swirl and settle, rising and falling on currents of air too subtle for you to feel. Watching them is hypnotic, their aimless journey mirroring the drifting of your own thoughts. There is no rush for them to land, just as there is no rush for you to be anywhere else. You are exactly where you need to be, encased in stone and wood and wool. Far away, beyond the thick oak door, beyond the stone corridors, the world continues its busy pace. But here, it is nothing more than a distant memory. You might hear the faint, muffled sound of a cartwheel rolling over cobblestones in the courtyard, or the distant lowing of a cow. But these sounds are stripped of their urgency. They are merely textures in the silence, proof that life goes on while you pause. The silence here is not empty, it is thick and velvety, a presence in itself that wraps around you like a second blanket. It hums with the quiet energy of a place dedicated to healing and rest. You become aware of the pulse in your own wrist, resting against the sheet. It is slow, steady, a rhythmic drum beat that marks the passage of time without counting it. Thump, 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 thump. It is a reassuring sound, the sound of your own life persevering slowing down to match the pace of the room. You wiggle your toes beneath the heavy covers, feeling the scratchy wool slide over the smooth linen. The sensation is grounding, bringing your awareness back to the physical boundaries of your body. You are contained. You are safe. The pillow beneath your head feels like a cloud that has been captured and wrapped in cloth. As you settle deeper into it, the feathers inside shift and mold to the contours of your skull neck. There is a slight crinkling sound, delicate and crisp, as the feathers adjust. It is a sound of comfort, of softness adjusting to support you. You close your eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but just to feel the absence of visual input. In the darkness behind your eyelids, the other senses become sharper. The smell of the dried sage hanging from the rafters becomes more distinct, a dusty, green scent that clears the mind. You open your eyes again, halfway, your lids heavy and relaxed. The stone wall near your bed has a small niche carved into it, where a small, unlit candle sits in a clay holder. The clay is rough and unglazed, the color of the earth. The candle is yellow beeswax, its wick black and curled from previous use. It waits there, patient and ready, an object of simple utility that demands nothing of you. Your gaze softens, losing focus, blurring the edges of the candle and the niche until they are just shapes of beige and gray. A gentle draft, barely a breath of wind, finds its way through the shutters. It carries the coolness of the approaching evening, brushing against your forehead like a cooling hand. It stirs the loose strands of hair near your temple, a ticklish, barely, their sensation. You pull the heavy wool blanket up higher, tucking it snugly under your chin. The friction of the wool against your neck is sharp, but pleasant, a reminder of the warmth you are preserving. You feel a profound sense of gratitude for this simple warmth, for the ability to control your own temperature in a world that can be harsh. Your hands, resting on your chest, rise and fall with the rhythm of your breathing. You can feel the heat of your own palms seeping through your tunic, connecting you to yourself. The fabric of your tunic is softer than the blanket, worn thin by time, familiar and loose. It does not bind or restrict. It simply covers. Under the blankets, your muscles twitch once, twice, as the last remnants of holding on are released. The knot in your lower back loosens. The tightness in your calves melts away. You are becoming liquid, pouring yourself into the mold of the bed. The shadows in the corners of the room are growing slightly longer, stretching out like sleepy cats. They are not menacing shadows. They are soft, fuzzy at the edges, gathering in the places where the light cannot reach. They deepen the sense of enclosure, making the room feel smaller, more intimate. The high ceiling seems to recede into the gloom, drawing your attention down, back to the immediate circle of your bed. The world has shrunk to this rectangle of warmth, this island of straw and wool. You notice the grain of the wooden bedpost near your feet. It is polished smooth by years of hands touching it, glowing dully in the fading light. It stands like a sentinel, guarding your rest. You wonder briefly about the tree it came from, growing in a forest centuries ago, drinking in the rain and the sun, now here to serve your sleep. The thought is slow, meandering, unraveling before it reaches a conclusion. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters but the feeling of the mattress supporting your spine. The air tastes of stillness. It is not stagnant, but poised, waiting. You swallow, and the sound is loud in your own ears, a reminder of the quiet that surrounds you. Your throat feels better than it did before, the dryness eased by the rest. You run your tongue over your teeth, feeling the smooth enamel, the quiet interior of your mouth, even your jaw, so often clenched against the pain or the cold, is now slack, hanging slightly open as you breathe through your nose. The heavy timber beams above seem to settle as the temperature drops outside. Occasionally, the wood gives a small pop or creak, the house stretching its bones. It is a friendly sound, a domestic sound. It tells you that the building is holding up, doing its work, resisting the elements so you don't have to. You are sheltered by stone, by wood, by roof tiles, by layers of craftsmanship designed to keep you safe. You feel a deep, primitive satisfaction in being indoors, protected from the wind and the wild. Your feet, usually cold, are now toasty warm in the pocket of air at the bottom of the bed. You rub one foot against the other, enjoying the friction, the reassurance of sensation. The straw mattress is uneven in the most perfect way, rising to support your knees, dipping to cradle your hips. It is not a flat, lifeless surface. It is organic, changing with you. You shift your weight again, seeking that perfect spot where the body feels weightless, suspended in the straw, and you find it. A position of absolute neutrality, where no muscle is strained, no joint is compressed. The dust motes in the shaft of light are fewer now, or perhaps the light is just dimming. The gold is turning to a deeper amber, rich and thick like honey. It paints the stone floor in a warm hue, softening the hardness of the rock. You watch the light retreat, inch by inch, moving across the floorboards, across the legs of the simple wooden stool in the corner. It is a slow tide of illumination withdrawing, promising the coming of the restful dark. You do not fear the dark. You welcome it. It is the blanket of the sky, coming to match the blanket on your bed. You feel a heaviness in your eyelids that is not sleep, not yet, but the precursor to it. It is a delicious weight a desire to close off the visual world and exist only in feeling. You let them droop, seeing the room through a haze of lashes. The colors blur together, the gray of the stone, the brown of the wood, the white of the plaster, blending into a palette of rest. The world is becoming soft, edges dissolving, sharp lines fading away. The wool blanket feels even heavier now, as if it has gained weight in the last hour. It presses you down, insisting that you stay. You have no desire to resist. The concept of standing up, of putting feet on the cold floor, seems impossible, belonging to a different life. In this life, there is only the horizontal, the supine, the restful. You are a stone in a stream, letting the water of time flow over you, unmoved and unbothered. A bird chirps outside, a single, clear note that rings out and then vanishes. It does not disturb the silence, it underscores it. It reminds you of the vast, open sky above the roof, a sky you do not need to see to know is there. You are content with your small piece of the sky. The ceiling, the beams, the shadows. The bird falls silent, perhaps settling into its own nest for the evening. You feel a kinship with it, a shared instinct to find a safe place when the light fails. The smell of the beeswax candle, though unlit, drifts to you occasionally, a sweet, honeyed scent that mixes with the straw. It is a clean smell, a holy smell. It speaks of order and care. Someone placed it there for you. Someone will come to light it if you need. You are not alone, yet you have the luxury of solitude. This thought is a warm coal in your chest, glowing softly. You are cared for. You can rest. You take another deep breath, filling the lower part of your lungs, expanding your belly against the sheets. The air seems richer now, thicker with the approaching dusk. You exhale slowly, imagining the breath leaving your body as a gray mist, carrying with it any remaining tension. Your shoulders drop another fraction of an inch. Your fingers curl loosely, resting on the wool. The rough fibers prickle slightly, a sensation that is real and grounding. The room is a vessel, and you are the precious cargo it carries. It sails through the afternoon on a sea of quiet. You are aware of the solidity of the floor beneath the bed, the foundation of the building deep in the earth. You feel rooted. The swaying of the trees outside does not reach you here. You are in the eye of the storm, the center of the wheel. Everything is still. Everything is heavy. Everything is right. As the light continues to fade, the corners of the room seem to dissolve completely. The boundaries of your space are softening. You are just a warm consciousness floating in a dim, cool space. The weight of the wool is the only reality. It is a hug that does not end. It is a promise kept. You surrender to it fully, letting the bed take every ounce of your weight, letting the wool protect you, letting the silence fill you. You are here. You are resting. And that is all there is. The silence in the room is not empty. It is a waiting vessel, patiently anticipating the next ripple in the stillness. From beyond the heavy oak door, a sound begins to emerge, so faint at first that it might be a trick of the ear. It is a rhythmic, soft shuffling, a gentle friction of leather moving against the ancient stone floor of the corridor. It draws nearer, slow and deliberate, not the hurried pace of the world, but the measured walk of someone who knows that healing cannot be rushed. You lie there, listening to the approach, feeling a sense of calm anticipation rather than alarm. The sound is familiar, a recurring comfort in the timeline of your rest. The latch of the door lifts with a muted click, a sound of metal on metal that has been worn smooth by centuries of use. The door swings open inward, moving on well-oiled hinges that offer no protest, only a quiet sigh of displaced air. A figure steps into the room, a silhouette against the slightly lighter hallway, bringing with them a subtle shift in the room's atmosphere. It is the attendant, the silent guardian of this sanctuary. You do not need to lift your head or open your eyes fully to know who it is. The presence is defined by a profound sense of peace and capability. The figure moves toward your bed, and with each step, you hear the soft compression of the leather sandals. Scuff, step. Scuff, step. The sound is hypnotic, a metronome of care. Along with the footsteps comes the sound of fabric, the heavy, coarse weave of a robe brushing against itself. Swish, swish. It is a sound of volume and weight, suggesting a garment that is thick, protective, and warm. It reminds you of the wool that covers you, creating a thread of connection between you and the one who watches over you. As the attendant reaches the bedside, the movement stops. There is a pause, a moment of stillness where you feel a pair of eyes assessing you, not with judgment, but with a practiced, compassionate observation. You feel safe under this gaze, like a ship safely harbored under the watch of a lighthouse. You breathe out slowly, letting your rib cage sink further into the mattress, signaling your wakefulness without words. There is no need for speech here. Words are for the noisy world outside. Here, there is only being. A hand reaches out, entering your field of vision. A hand that looks weathered but gentle. You feel the back of a finger brush against your temple, sweeping away a stray lock of hair. The touch is cool, dry, and incredibly grounding. It moves to your forehead, the palm resting there lightly to gauge the heat of your skin. The contrast between the warmth of your fever-flushed brow and the coolness of the attendant's skin is a relief, a small physical mercy. It feels as if the cool hand is drawing the heat out of you, absorbing the excess energy, leaving a trail of calm in its wake. The hand lingers for a moment, steady and sure. It does not tremble. It does not press too hard. It simply exists in contact with you, a bridge between your internal experience and the external reality. In that touch, there is a transfer of assurance. You are not fighting this battle alone. Someone else is carrying the vigilance so that you can lay your burden down. The hand lifts away slowly, leaving a phantom sensation of coolness that lingers on your skin, a memory of comfort. Next, you hear the rustle of the robe leaning closer. The attendant's arms reach out to the edges of the heavy wool blanket, covering you. You feel the fabric being pulled taut, smoothed out over your legs and torso. The weight is redistributed, settled more evenly across your frame. The edges are tucked in gently, but firmly between the mattress and the bed frame, first on one side, then the other. This action, this swaddling, reinforces the feeling of being contained. You are wrapped up, secured against the drafts, held together by the hands of another. It is a gesture of protection that dates back to childhood, a primal reassurance that you are looked after. The attendant moves to the head of the bed. You hear the soft intake of breath, a quiet human sound that makes the presence feel real and close. A hand slides beneath your pillow, lifting your head ever so slightly. The movement is fluid, practiced 1,000 times. The other hand fluffs the pillow, redistributing the feathers or straw inside, breaking up the clumps that have formed under the weight of your head. The sound is a soft crump of fabric and filling. Then you are lowered back down. The pillow feels renewed, cooler, loftier. It rises to meet the curve of your neck, supporting you with fresh vigor. You let out a long sigh of satisfaction, your head sinking into the refreshed softness. The attendant pauses again, perhaps watching to see if you are comfortable, if the adjustment was right. You close your eyes briefly, a signal of gratitude, a silent "thank you" transmitted through the air. There is a clinking sound now, soft and dull, ceramic touching wood. The attendant has picked up the cup from the bedside table. You hear the slosh of liquid, the check to see if you have drunk enough. Then the cup is set back down, perhaps moved an inch closer to your hand for easier reach. Every small object in the room is managed, curated for your ease. You do not have to think about where the water is. It will be there. You do not have to worry about the blanket slipping. It will be fixed. This surrender of control is a luxury. It allows your mind to unspool, to release the tight grip it usually holds on the details of survival. The attendant moves away from the bed, the leather sandals scuffing softly on the stone once more. They move towards the window. You see the shadow lengthen across the floor. There is a faint creak as the shutter is adjusted, perhaps opened a fraction more to let in the fresh evening air, or closed slightly to block a draft. The light in the room shifts in response, the golden beam narrowing, the shadows deepening. The attendant knows exactly what the room needs, acting as an extension of the environment itself. You smell a faint scent trailing the figure, not a perfume, but the smell of clean soap, of dried herbs, perhaps a hint of the incense from the chapel. It is a clean, neutral scent that speaks of discipline and cleanliness. It mixes with the smell of the wool and the straw, adding another layer to the olfactory landscape of your rest. It is the scent of order. The figure stops at the foot of the bed one last time. Standing there, hands clasped within the sleeves of the robe, a silent sentinel. You feel a wave of drowsiness wash over you, encouraged by this silent permission to rest. The attendant's presence is a barrier between you and the rest of the world. Nothing can harm you while they are here. The worries of the harvest, the trade, the journey, they cannot pass this figure. Then, the slow turn, the rustle of heavy fabric, the steps retreating towards the door. Step, scuff. Step, scuff. The rhythm is unchanged, steady as a heartbeat. You listen to the sound fading, carrying your focus with it, stretching your awareness out into the room. The figure passes through the doorway. The door begins to close. The hinges give that same soft sigh. The latch clicks into place. Click. The silence rushes back in, but it is different now. It is attended silence. The room feels reset, charged with a fresh sense of safety. You are alone again, but not lonely. The memory of the care remains. The coolness on your forehead, the snugness of the tucked blanket, the loft of the pillow. These are the physical remnants of the visit. You snuggle deeper into the warmth, feeling the heavy wool hugging you. Your breathing aligns with the memory of the attendant's calm. In, slow and deep. Out, long and soft. The room is getting darker, the shadows stretching up the walls towards the ceiling beams. The stone walls seem to hold the quiet, protecting it. You stare at the gray stone, feeling the solidity of it. You are safe. You are warm. You are resting. The world is soft, and you are held within it. With the door latched and the footsteps fading into the distance, the room settles into a deeper, more intimate quiet. In this silence, your senses begin to shift their focus from sound to the subtle currents of air moving through the space. The heavy oak shutters near the window are not fully closed, left cracked open just enough to allow the outside world to whisper to you. A gentle breeze, cooled by the stone of the sill, pushes its way into the room. It moves invisibly, a soft, invisible river, carrying with it the complex and grounding perfume of the cloister garden that lies just beyond the walls. It is a scent that tells a story of the earth. First, there is the smell of damp soil, rich and dark, rising from the flower beds where the rain has recently fallen. It is a primitive, comforting smell, the scent of growth and stability. It speaks of roots digging deep into the ground, drinking in the nourishment of the soil, just as you are now sinking into the bed, drawing strength from your rest. The air feels moist against your cheek, a tender contrast to the dry wool of the blanket, carrying moisture that seems to hydrate your very breath. As this fresh, garden-washed air circulates, it mingles with the dry, concentrated aromas already present in the room. You lift your eyes toward the darkened ceiling beams, where shadows cling to the rough timber. Hanging there, suspended in neat, inverted bouquets, are bundles of drying herbs. They have been there for weeks, perhaps months, slowly turning from vibrant green to brittle shades of silver, sage, and brown. They are the harvest of the summer, captured and preserved for moments, just like this. The breeze catches these hanging bundles, causing them to sway with a motion so slight it is almost imperceptible. But the movement releases their trapped oils, sending a wave of medicinal fragrance drifting down to your bedside. You breathe in, and the air is thick with the resinous pine-like tang of rosemary. It is a sharp, clean scent that seems to cut through the heaviness in your head, clearing a path for clarity and calm. It feels purifying, as if the very air is washing the inside of your lungs. Underneath the rosemary, there is the sweeter, floral dustiness of dried lavender. It is a softer scent, round and gentle, evoking memories of purple fields under a hot sun. But here, in the dim light, the scent is muted, a lullaby for the nose. It triggers a physical response in your body. Your shoulders drop another fraction, the tension in your jaw unspooling as the lavender works its ancient magic on your nerves. It is the smell of sleep itself, distilled into dried flowers. You can close your eyes and almost see the garden from which these scents were born. In your mind's eye, you trace the geometric paths of the cloister, the smooth cobblestones bordered by low hedges. You imagine the medicinal plants arranged in their beds, the broad, fuzzy leaves of the sage, the delicate fronds of the fennel, the low, creeping thyme. They stand silent in the twilight, their leaves heavy with dew, breathing out oxygen and life. There is a profound sense of connection in knowing that the life force of those plants is now here in the room with you, aiding in your restoration. The air in the room becomes a blend of the wild and the domestic. There is a hint of lemon balm, bright and citrusy, cutting through the musk of the wool. There is the earthy, slightly bitter note of wormwood, a scent that feels serious and potent. These are not just smells, They are believed to be balancers of the body's humors, invisible agents that align the heat and cold, the dry and the damp within you. You do not need to understand the alchemy of it. You only need to breathe. Each inhalation feels like a small sip of a healing potion. The cool air travels up your nose, cooling the back of your throat, and settles deep in your chest. It expands your lungs, stretching the rib cage gently against the weight of the covers. When you exhale, you imagine the breath leaving you is warmer, carrying away the stale heat of the fever, the fatigue, the worry. It is a rhythmic exchange, fresh, cool garden air in, warm, tired air out. In and out. The garden gives, and you receive. The atmosphere in the room feels thick and protective, like a blanket woven from fragrances. The scent of beeswax from the unlit candle joins the chorus, a sweet, honeyed bass note that grounds the sharper herbal smells. It smells of the hive, of slow, diligent work of golden afternoons. It warms the olfactory palate, making the room feel cozy and enclosed. You are encased in a bubble of natural aromas, isolated from the stench of the city or the road. Here, the air is clean. A stronger gust of wind rustles the leaves of the ivy growing on the stone wall outside. You hear the soft friction of leaf against stone, a dry, papery sound that accompanies the scent of green dust. It reminds you that nature is pressing right up against the infirmary, wrapping the building in a living embrace. The stone walls are not barriers to nature, but filters letting in only the good air, the healing drafts. Your sense of time begins to drift on these currents of scent. The smell of the damp earth makes you think of the beginning of things, of seeds waiting in the dark. The smell of the dried herbs makes you think of the harvest, of cycles completing. You are part of this cycle. You are in the winter of your health, waiting for the spring. The scents promise that the cycle will continue. That renewal is inevitable. The moisture in the air settles on your lips, soothing the dryness. You run your tongue over them, tasting the faint, metallic tang of the rain that has traveled miles to reach you. It is refreshing. The heaviness in your limbs feels less like a weight now and more like a grounding root system. You are planted in this bed, just as the rosemary bush is planted in the garden. You are absorbing the nutrients you need from the rest, from the quiet, from the air. As the room darkens further, the visual world retreats, leaving the world of scent to take over. The smell of the sage seems to grow louder in the dark, a green presence hovering above you. It is a savory smell, one that usually accompanies food, but here it promises a different kind of nourishment for the spirit. It creates a feeling of safety, a ward against the night. You lie perfectly still, letting the olfactory landscape shift and change around you. One moment, a ribbon of mint drifts by, cool and sharp. The next, the heavy, musky scent of valerian root, grounding and sedative. You are a traveler in a garden of invisible delights, moving from bed to bed without lifting a foot. The journey is internal, quiet, and deeply satisfying. The air is slowly matching the temperature of the stone walls, becoming crisp and cool. You snuggle your nose down into the edge of the linen sheet, creating a small pocket of warmth where your breath mingles with the scent of the fabric. The linen smells of soap and water, a simple, human smell that balances the complexity of the herbs. It is the smell of care, of hands washing and wringing and drying. The garden continues its silent vigil outside. You can feel its presence through the open shutter, a reservoir of life and calm. The scents it sends you are letters of comfort, reminders that the world is alive and healing, and that you are safe within its fold. You breathe deep, filling yourself with the essence of the earth, and let the gentle, aromatic air lull you deeper into the mattress. The breeze from the window settles, and the silence of the room is once again the canvas for a new sensory experience. From a corner of the room, perhaps near the heavy wooden table that stands in the shadows, a new sound begins to emerge. It is a rhythmic, grounding noise, repetitive and ancient. It is the sound of stone meeting stone. Someone, the silent attendant, or perhaps an apothecary working in the quiet alcove, is preparing the draught that will aid your rest. Grind. Pause. Grind. Pause. The sound is not harsh or grating. It is muffled and dull, a heavy friction that speaks of weight and substance. It is the sound of a heavy pestle turning inside a granite mortar. You can hear the initial crunch of dry ingredients, perhaps the dried willow bark or the roots you smelled earlier, being broken down. Then, the sound smooths out into a continuous, circular hum. It is a hypnotic rhythm, like the slow turning of a millstone or the walking of feet on a gravel path. It loops over and over, a circle of sound that draws your attention away from your own body and into the process of creation. You imagine the hand moving the pestle. It must be moving in perfect circles, applying steady, even pressure. The wrist turns, the stone rolls, and the dried leaves are reduced to powder. There is a patience in this sound. It cannot be rushed. To rush would be to spill, to create heat where none is needed. The slow cadence tells you that time is being taken for your sake. Care is being ground into the very medicine itself. Between the grinding sounds, there are moments of absolute silence. In these pauses, you can almost hear the dust settling back into the bottom of the bowl. You hear the faint tap of the pestle against the rim of the mortar, a small, accidental chime of stone that rings true and short. Tap. It is a punctuating note in the melody of the work. Then, the rhythm changes. The grinding stops. There is a rustling of paper or parchment. The sound of a packet being opened. A light, dry cascading sound follows, like sand pouring onto a leaf. More ingredients are being added to the mixture. The texture of the sound changes as the grinding resumes. It is softer now, a hushing noise as powders mix together. It sounds like someone whispering to the stone. Next comes the sound of water. You hear the heavy, hollow thud of a clay jug being lifted from a surface. There is the wet sound of a cork being eased out of a neck. A short, high-pitched squeak followed by a soft pop. Then the glug, glug, glug of liquid pouring. The water sounds heavy, perhaps slightly thickened with honey or syrup. It splashes gently into a vessel, the pitch of the splash rising steadily as the cup fills. It is a fresh, wet sound that cuts through the dry atmosphere of the room, promising hydration and flow. You can hear the heat in the water, even if you cannot feel it yet. The pour has a certain velocity, a steaming quality to the sound as it hits the ceramic of the cup. You imagine the steam rising in a silent, gray plume, twisting up towards the ceiling beams, carrying with it the released oils of the crushed herbs. A spoon is introduced to the mix. It is wooden. You can tell by the sound. It does not cling or clang against the cup. Instead, it makes a soft thud, swish, thud, swish, as it circles the rim. The water is being agitated, creating a small vortex in the cup, marrying the powder with the liquid. The spoon taps the side of the cup. Talk, talk. A dull, friendly sound. It is the sound of a meal being prepared in a quiet kitchen, a sound of domestic safety. The stirring is slow, deliberate. It is not a frantic beating, but a gentle coaxing. The person preparing this knows that the ingredients need time to bloom in the hot water. You listen to the liquid swirling, a miniature tide in a cup. It sounds viscous and warm. The rhythm of the spoon matches the rhythm of your own breathing. Swish, exhale. Swish, inhale. There is a pause in the movement. You hear the cup being lifted. The rough pottery scrapes slightly against the wood of the table. A short, dry drag of sound. Then it is set down again, perhaps on a tray or a saucer. The contact is gentle, a testament to the respect given to the object. A faint clink of glass follows, perhaps a small vial of tincture being uncorked. A distinct drip, drip, drip falls into the main mixture. 3 drops. Precision. The medicine is not just a brew, it is a formula passed down through generations of healers, measured by steady hands in the dim light. The spoon returns for one final, brief stir to fold in the essence. The sounds of preparation are dying down now. The pestle is set aside with a heavy rolling sound. The jug is corked. Squeak, thup. The parchment is folded away. The bustle of creation is replaced by the stillness of completion. The draught is ready. You can sense the heat radiating from the corner of the room. A small point of warmth in the cool air. The steam is likely drifting towards you now, invisible but present. The anticipation builds in your chest, not an anxious waiting, but a calm readiness. You know that the warm liquid is coming to you. You know it has been made with focus and intent. The silence that follows the preparation is different from the silence before. It is a pregnant silence, holding the potential of the remedy. The sounds you just heard replay in your mind. The grind, the pour, the stir. They were a performance for an audience of one. They were a promise that help is not just an abstract concept, but a physical reality, ground from the earth and poured from a jug, waiting just a few feet away to bring you peace. The room seems to lean in, waiting for the moment the cup will be brought to your lips. You lie still, listening to the fading resonance of the work, ready to receive. The lingering resonance of the preparation fades, replaced by the soft, rhythmic return of footsteps. They are slow and steady, carrying a new purpose. You can sense the approach of the remedy before it. Even reaches you, heralded by a subtle shift in the air's temperature. The cool draft from the window is momentarily displaced by a localized warmth, a small, moving aura of heat that draws nearer to your bedside. The attendant stands beside you once more, their presence a solid shadow against the dim light, bringing with them the culmination of the grinding and the stirring. You feel the mattress depress slightly as the attendant sits or leans on the edge of the bed frame, bringing the source of the warmth closer to your face. There is a gentle rustle of sleeves, and then a hand slips behind your shoulders. It is a supportive, strong presence that lifts you with infinite care, raising your torso just enough to break the horizontal plane. You are not asked to use your own muscles. The effort is borne entirely by another. You are merely a passenger in this movement, your head lolling slightly back against the supporting arm, your neck relaxed. Then, the cup is brought to your hands. Your fingers, which have been resting idly on the wool blanket, are guided to curl around the vessel. It is not a delicate goblet of glass or fine porcelain. It is a heavy, substantial mug made of thick, fired clay. The surface is unglazed, rough against your fingertips, possessing a gritty, earthen texture that feels ancient and grounding. It is warm, wonderfully, deeply warm. The heat from the liquid inside has soaked into the thick walls of the pottery, and as your palms embrace it, that heat transfers instantly to your skin. It travels up your wrists, a silent communication of comfort that bypasses words and speaks directly to the blood. You hold the cup with both hands. The weight of it surprising and pleasing. It feels like holding a warm stone plucked from a summer hearth. You bring it closer to your face, and the steam rises to greet you. It is a visible white wisp in the gloom, curling and dancing like a small spirit. The steam carries the concentrated essence of the ingredients you heard being ground earlier. It washes over your nose, your cheeks, your closed eyelids. The moisture condenses in tiny, microscopic droplets on your skin, softening the dryness of the fever. You breathe in the vapor. It smells of deep roots dug from the black earth. It smells of the bark of the willow tree, astringent and clean. There is the sweet, cloying scent of dark honey, and the faint, dusty aroma of dried meadow flowers. It is a complex bouquet, neither entirely sweet nor entirely bitter, but perfectly balanced. The scent of raw, natural healing. It smells like a forest after rain, boiled down into a cup. The rim of the cup is guided to your lips. The pottery is thick and rounded, not sharp. It feels dry and solid against the sensitive skin of your mouth. You tilt the cup slightly, or perhaps it is tilted for you, and the liquid touches your tongue. The first sensation is heat. It is hot, but not scalding. A perfect, tolerable temperature that demands your full attention. The liquid is thicker than water, given body by the honey and the dissolved powders. It coats the tongue, heavy and viscous. The taste is a revelation of earthiness. There is the initial sharp tang of the willow, a medicinal bitterness that creates a slight pucker in the mouth. But this is immediately smoothed over by the rich, floral sweetness of the honey. It is a taste that feels old, a recipe that has been used for centuries to mend the weary. It tastes of the wild, of things that grow slowly and endure the seasons. You swallow. The sensation is distinct and traceable. You can feel the warm bolus of liquid sliding down the back of your throat, a slow, moving river of heat. It passes your collarbones, moves behind your sternum, and descends into the center of your body. It paints a path of warmth through your core, illuminating your insides with a gentle, glowing light. Where the liquid passes, the tightness in your chest seems to unravel. The muscles of your throat relax, accepting the warmth with gratitude. As the draught settles in your stomach, it begins to radiate. It acts like a small, internal sun, sending rays of comfort outwards. You feel the heat expanding from your belly, creeping out towards your hips, your lower back. It is a deep, penetrating warmth that seems to reach into the bones themselves. The chill that had lodged itself in your marrow begins to dissolve, chased away by the power of the simple broth. You take another sip. The movement is rhythmic. Tilt, taste, swallow. Tilt, taste, swallow. Each mouthful reinforces the first, building a cumulative effect of relaxation. The bitter taste becomes familiar, almost pleasant, a signal to your body that help has arrived. The honey lingers on the roof of your mouth, a sweet afternote that makes the medicine palatable. With each swallow, the boundaries of your body seem to soften. The sharp edges of discomfort are filed down. The headache that had been a tight band behind your eyes begins to loosen, its grip failing under the influence of the willow bark. The tension in your shoulders, held high for so long, finally drops. You feel your arms getting heavier, the cup feeling weightier in your hands. The attendant senses this heaviness. Their hands move to support the cup, ensuring it does not slip. You drink the last few drops, tipping your head back slightly. The sediment at the bottom of the cup touches your tongue. Gritty, herbal dust that tastes strongest of the earth. You swallow this too, knowing it holds the potent dregs of the cure. The cup is gently removed from your hands. Your palms feel empty, but retain the phantom warmth of the clay. You are lowered back down onto the pillow. The movement feels slower than before, your body more pliable. Your head sinks deep into the indentation of the straw and feathers. The pillow feels cooler now in contrast to the heat inside you, a refreshing embrace for your neck. The afterglow of the medicine is now in full effect. A pleasant, heavy drowsiness begins to wash over your mind. It is not a forced sleep, but a natural shutting down of the systems. It feels like a thick, warm blanket is being drawn over your thoughts. The worries of the day, the details of the room, the awareness of time, they all begin to blur and recede. Your stomach feels anchored, warm and full. This internal heat anchors you to the bed, making you feel delightfully heavy. It is the feeling of being made of lead, of sinking through the mattress, through the floor, down into the quiet earth below. Your toes tingle slightly as the warmth reaches the very extremities of your body. Your fingers are loose, uncurled, resting motionless on the wool. The taste of the honey and herbs remains in your mouth, a lingering reminder of the care you have received. You run your tongue over your teeth, savoring the flavor. It is the taste of safety. You hear the faint clink of the empty cup being placed back on the table. The job is done. The medicine is inside you, working its silent magic. There is nothing left for you to do but yield to it. The heat in your belly is a steady, glowing ember that promises to burn through the night, keeping the cold at bay. You feel a profound sense of internal peace, a quieting of the blood. The world has narrowed down to this sensation of warmth, this feeling of heavy, liquid relaxation flowing through your veins. You are warm inside and out. You are healing. You are at rest. The warmth of the medicine continues to radiate from your center, a steady internal sun that contrasts with the visible changes occurring in the room. Outside the heavy stone walls, the great celestial sun has begun its final descent, and its withdrawal is marked by a slow, silent transformation of your surroundings. The beam of golden light that had previously slashed across the foot of your bed, painting the wool blanket in hues of amber and dust, has begun to retreat. It pulls back like a slow, golden tide, sliding inch by inch across the floorboards, abandoning the wood to the cool grays of the approaching evening. You watch this retreat with half-closed eyes, a witness to the gentle surrender of the day. As the direct light fades, the definition of the room begins to soften. The sharp edges of the furniture, the corner of the table, the line of the stool, the frame of the window lose their clarity. They blur into the background, merging with the deepening shadows that pool in the corners like dark water. The high ceiling, previously a landscape of beams and plaster, recedes upwards into a cavernous gloom. It feels as though the room is becoming a cocoon, wrapping itself tighter around you, erasing the unnecessary details of the world so that you may focus only on rest. The air itself seems to turn a shade of twilight blue, thick and still. Into this deepening dimness, a small, deliberate movement introduces a new element. There is the faint scrape of a stool being moved, or perhaps just the rustle of a sleeve. Then the sharp, dry sound of flint striking steel, or the soft sweep of a taper being introduced. A spark jumps, a tiny, momentary star in the gloom, followed immediately by the birthing of a flame. The candle in the stone niche, the one you had observed earlier in its dormancy, is now awake. The flame starts small, a shy blue curve at the base of the black wick, before growing into a confident, teardrop-shaped tongue of yellow light. It does not burst forth with blinding intensity. Rather, it blooms softly, pushing back the darkness just enough to create a sphere of intimacy around your bed. The light is warm, organic, and alive. It casts a gentle, trembling glow onto the rough gray stones of the niche, highlighting the mica flecks in the rock, making them sparkle like distant, frozen stars. With the light comes a new scent, distinct and comforting. It is the smell of melting beeswax, a rich, sweet fragrance that reminds you of summer clover and the hum of the hive. It is a clean, natural burning smell, free of the harshness of tallow or oil. As the wax warms, it releases a subtle perfume of honey and pollen, a scent that speaks of nature's industry. Now turn to your service. There is also a faint, fleeting wisp of smoke from the initial ignition, a thin, gray ribbon that curls upward and vanishes, leaving behind a trace of carbon and heat that tickles the nose pleasantly. The light from the single candle does not try to illuminate the whole room. It is humble, content to light only what is necessary. It catches the edge of the heavy oak table, gilding the wood with a line of orange. It reflects dimly in the glazed pottery of the water jug. Most importantly, it casts a soft, golden halo over you. The light plays across the texture of the wool blanket, deepening the valleys of the weave and highlighting the peaks, making the fabric look like a topographical map of comfort. On the walls, the relationship between light and object creates a slow, mesmerizing dance. The shadows are no longer static. They are soft, elongated shapes that sway gently with the subtle flickering of the candle flame. The shadow of the bedpost stretches up the wall, tall and wavering, like a guardian spirit watching over you. The shadow of the herbs hanging from the rafters moves faintly, looking like underwater kelp swaying in a slow current. These shadows are not frightening. They are merely the other side of the light, the soft companions of the evening. They make the room feel lived, in and breathing. The flickering is rhythmic, almost hypnotic. The flame dips and bows, flares and settles, reacting to the unseen currents of air in the room. You find your gaze locking onto the flame, the bright center of the room. It is a focal point that anchors your wandering mind. The center of the flame is transparent, the middle a bright white, yellow, and the tip a smoky orange. It is a tiny, contained fire, a piece of the sun brought indoors to keep you company through the night. As the candlelight establishes its dominance, the silence in the room seems to deepen, to gain texture. The visual noise of the day, the bright colors, the sharp contrasts, is gone. In its place is a monochromatic calmness of browns, golds, and blacks. This visual quietness allows your ears to tune into the smallest of sounds. The soft hiss of the melting wax, the occasional pop of an impurity in the wick. These are the sounds of the candle living its life, burning itself away to give you light. Time seems to detach itself from the sun and the moon, turning instead to the slow consumption of the wax. You watch a single drip of molten wax roll down the side of the candle, moving sluggishly, cooling and hardening before it reaches the holder. It is a slow, geological process happening in miniature. There is no urgency in the candle's burning, just a steady, chemical endurance. It tells you that there is nowhere to go, nothing to achieve. The only task is to exist, to shine, and to rest. The light is low enough that it does not strain your eyes. In fact, it invites them to close. The golden glow filters through your eyelashes, turning the world into a haze of warm amber. Even with your eyes fully closed, you can sense the presence of the light. It is a warm reassurance against your eyelids, a signal that the darkness is not absolute. You are suspended in a space between the day that has passed and the night that is coming, held in the amber suspension of the candlelight. The atmosphere in the room has shifted from the clinical coolness of the afternoon to the intimate warmth of the evening. The stone walls, which earlier seemed cold and imposing, now appear softened by the orange glow, looking like the walls of a protective cave. The room feels smaller now, the boundaries drawn in by the limit of the candlelight. The vast world outside has ceased to matter. All that exists is the bed, the warmth in your belly, and the single, brave flame standing vigil in the niche. You feel a profound sense of solitude, but it is a solitude of peace, not loneliness. The candle is a companion. The shadows are friends. The darkness is a blanket. You watch the flame stretch tall, reaching for the heavens, then squat low, hugging the wick. It is a silent lullaby of light, a visual rhythm that matches the slowing beat of your heart. The transition is complete. The day is gone. The night has arrived, bringing with it the soft, forgiving rain of the candle. The flame of the beeswax candle continues its silent, upright vigil, burning with a steadiness that seems to defy the very air around it. The room has fully surrendered to the night, the corners dissolved into a soft, velvety obscurity that feels infinite and close all at once. You are suspended in this amber, lit capsule, your breathing shallow and rhythmic, your body heavy under the layers of wool. The silence is thick, a physical weight that presses gently against your eardrums, filling the space where the day's noises used to be. It is a silence so profound that it feels like a texture, something you could reach out and brush with your fingertips, smooth and cool like the dark side of a pillow. Then, from somewhere deep in the distance, beyond the stone walls, beyond the garden, and beyond the courtyard, a sound begins to form. It does not shatter the silence. Rather, it emerges from it, a low, rolling vibration that is felt almost before it is heard. It is the great bell of the monastery tower, waking to mark the hour of the night. It begins with the heavy groan of a wheel turning, a sound only audible to those who are listening for it, followed by the deep, metallic impact of the clapper against the bronze lip. Boom. The sound is incredibly deep, a bass note that travels through the earth and the stone foundations of the infirmary. It is not a sharp ring that startles the nerves. It is a hollow, resonant hum, round and smooth, polished by the miles of cool night air. It has traveled to reach you. It passes through the thick oak shutters, through the glass, through the heavy door, filtering down, until it is nothing more than a gentle, thrumming presence in the room. You feel it in the wood of the bed frame, a faint, sympathetic vibration that travels up through the straw mattress and hums against your spine. It is a lullaby sung by iron and bronze. The air in the room seems to quiver slightly with the sound, the candle flame giving a barely perceptible bow in deference to the tone. You lie still, waiting for the next strike. The space between the tolls is long, deliberate, and filled with a breathless anticipation. The bell ringer is in no hurry. He knows that the night is long, and that the message of the bell is one of endurance, not urgency. Boo-oo-oom. The second toll is louder than the first, or perhaps your ears have just tuned into the frequency. You can imagine the great bronze shape, swinging in the high stone tower, swaying against the backdrop of the stars. You picture the heavy rope moving through the hands of the brother whose duty it is to keep the time. There is a profound comfort in this image, the knowledge that someone else is awake, someone else is keeping watch, so that you do not have to. The responsibility of the world of maintaining order and time is in other hands. You are free to let go. The sound carries with it a sense of ancient structure. This bell has rung at this hour for centuries, signaling the same moment to generations of sleepers and healers. It connects you to a long line of people who have lain in this very room, listening to this very sound, finding comfort in its regularity. It is the heartbeat of the place, a slow, titanic pulse that regulates the life within the walls. It tells you that the world is stable. It tells you that the rituals of the night are proceeding exactly as they should. Boo-yoom. With each strike, you feel a little more weight seep into your limbs. The sound acts as a command to your muscles release. The tension in your calves melts away. The small knot of worry in your stomach uncoils. The bell is counting down your journey into sleep, each ring a step leading you deeper into the valley of rest. The vibration seems to massage the air around you, pushing away any lingering thoughts of the day, clearing the mental space for dreams. You find yourself drifting into a state of counting without numbers. You do not say, oh, 1, 2, 3 in your mind. Instead, you simply exist in the rhythm. There is the sound, and then there is the echo. The echo is perhaps even more beautiful than the strike itself. It hangs in the air, a ghostly hum that decays slowly, fading into a whisper, then into a memory of sound, before disappearing completely into the silence. You try to trace the sound until the very last second, following it down into the quiet, leading your mind into the void of sleep. Boo-oom. Far away, in the chapel, you know that the monks are gathering. The bell is their call to the night office, to the chanting of prayers in the dark. You can almost hear the soft shuffle of their sandals, the rustle of their robes, the murmur of their voices joining together. This knowledge wraps around you like another layer of wool. You are being prayed for. You are being guarded by the collective intent of the community. Their wakefulness is a gift to your slumber. You are part of a hive that protects its vulnerable, a quiet member of a flock that is safe in the fold. The vibration of the bell seems to resonate in the water jug, on the table, in the stones of the wall, in the bones of your inner ear. It is a sound that encompasses everything, unifying the room into a single frequency of peace. The candle flame stands, steady now, glowing like a small amber jewel. The shadows on the wall seem to hold their breath, frozen in the amber light, listening. Boom. This toll feels softer, further away. Perhaps the wind has shifted, or perhaps your own consciousness is beginning to recede, drawing the curtains on the external world. The boundary between the sound and your imagination is blurring. Is the bell ringing outside, or is it ringing inside a dream? It does not matter. The feeling is the same, a deep, rocking comfort, like being on a boat in a gentle harbor. The sequence is coming to an end. You can sense the finality in the rhythm. The bell ringer is letting the momentum of the great bronze cup slow. The intervals between the strikes stretch longer, the silence reclaiming its territory. You wait for the next one, your breath held in a soft suspension. Boom. The final ring is the longest. It sustains, humming low and mournful but sweet. It drifts over the rooftops, over the garden, through the window, and settles over you like a fine dust. You listen as it fades, becoming quieter, quieter, quieter. It drops below the threshold of hearing, but the feeling remains. The air is charged with the memory of the sound. Now, the silence returns, but it is deeper than before. It is a silence that has been cleansed by the sound. The world is quiet again, but it is a structured quiet. The hour has been marked. The duty has been done. The night has officially claimed the land. You feel a heavy, delicious drag on your consciousness. The transition is complete. You are no longer waiting for anything. The bell has given you permission to leave the shore of wakefulness. Your body feels incredibly distinct and yet dissolving at the same time. You are aware of the warmth of your toes, the coolness of the pillow, the weight of the blanket, but they feel like sensations belonging to a great distance. The candle flickers once, casting a brief ripple of movement across the ceiling beams, then settles back into stillness. The smell of the beeswax, the smell of the herbs, the smell of the stone, they all blend into a single scent of night. You breathe it in, a long, slow inhalation that fills your lungs with peace. You breathe out, a long, slow exhalation that releases the last tether to the waking world. The echo of the bell is now only a vibration in your memory. You are floating on the surface of the dark, buoyed by the safety of the room. The stone walls stand guard. The timber beams hold up the roof. The candle burns, and you, in the center of it all, simply drift. The silence that followed the great bell is not a void, but a canvas waiting for a new texture to be applied. For a long time, there is only the stillness of the stone and the steady, quiet warmth of your own breath filling the room. Then, the atmosphere begins to shift, signaling a change in the world outside. The air in the room, previously dry and still, gains a sudden, heavy moisture, a denseness that carries the electrical charge of an approaching shift. You can feel the pressure change in your ears, a subtle deepening of the quiet that feels like the sky is lowering itself to rest upon the roof of the infirmary. It begins with a single sound, distinct and hesitant. Tap. A lone drop of water strikes the wooden shutter of the window. It is a sharp, small note, like a finger tapping against a drum. You wait, listening in the amber gloom. Tap, tap, tap. The drops are finding their rhythm, testing the surfaces of the world. They hit the stone sill with a wetter, softer sound, a gentle plash that speaks of cool liquid meeting cold rock. The rhythm accelerates, not with urgency, but with a growing confidence, layering sound upon sound until the individual taps merge into a cohesive, soothing hum. The sky has opened, releasing a midnight rain to wash over the sleeping monastery. It is not a storm of fury or wind. There is no howling at the eaves, no rattling of the frames. It is a steady, vertical downpour, a heavy curtain of water falling straight from the clouds to the earth. It is a rain of restoration, designed to soak deep into the dry ground, to fill the wells and to lull the weary. The sound grows to a consistent, enveloping drone. It is a white noise that wraps around the building, sealing you inside. The stone walls, so thick and imposing, now serve their greatest purpose. You can hear the rain drumming against them, a muted, distant percussion that cannot penetrate your sanctuary. The walls are a fortress against the wet, a barrier that separates the elements from the comfort of the bed. This separation creates a profound sense of coziness, a feeling known only to those who are warm and dry while the world outside is cold and wet. You imagine the roof above you, the high, slanted expanse of slate or clay tiles. You can visualize the rain hitting the tiles, streaming down the overlapping surfaces in continuous, glistening sheets. The sound on the roof is different from the sound on the walls. It is a higher, pattering sound, a constant murmur of thousands of drops finding their way to the gutters. It sounds like a whisper magnified, a collective hush, being spoken by the sky to the building. Water begins to drip from the eaves, You can hear it distinctly through the crack in the shutter. A rhythmic, musical dripping. Drip, drip, drip. It lands in a puddle forming on the cobblestones below, a liquid metronome that keeps perfect time. The sound is close, intimate, bringing the reality of the rain right to your bedside, without touching you. The air entering through the slightly open shutter changes character completely. It is no longer just cool. It is cold, crisp, and washed clean. It carries the unmistakable scent of petrichor, the smell of dry dust and earth being hit by rain. It is a primitive, awakening smell, scenting the room with the essence of wet stone and soaked leaves. It mixes with the beeswax and the herbs, creating a perfume that feels heavy and fresh at the same time. You breathe it in deep, feeling the cool, moist air travel down your throat, soothing the last of the dryness. It feels like drinking from a cold mountain stream. The temperature in the room drops slightly, a refreshing chill that seeks to enter the bed. But this chill only serves to make the warmth of the wool blankets more apparent, more delicious. You instinctively pull the covers higher, tucking your chin beneath the rough weave. The contrast is the key to the comfort. The colder the air on your face, the warmer your body feels in its cocoon. You curl your toes, finding a pocket of heat at the bottom of the mattress. Your body generates its own furnace, trapped and reflected by the heavy bedding. You feel a profound sense of isolation, but it is a happy isolation. The rain has drawn a circle around the infirmary, cutting you off from the rest of the monastery, from the village, from the roads. No one will come. No one will go. The mud will be too deep, the night too wet. The world has stopped. You are absolved of all duties, all expectations. The rain has granted you a complete and total pardon from life's demands. The candle flame dances more actively now, reacting to the heavier air and the slight drafts pushing through the window. It flickers blue and orange, casting wildly moving shadows that mimic the falling water outside. The light seems to struggle against the humidity, glowing with a softer, hazier halo. It looks like a lighthouse seen through a fog, a beacon of warmth in the watery night. You listen to the layers of the rain. There is the high hiss of the water hitting the leaves in the garden, a soft, shushing sound like silk rubbing against silk. There is the deeper thrum of the water hitting the hard, packed earth of the courtyard. And there is the hollow, wooden note of the water striking the window frame. These sounds weave together into a complex, chaotic symphony that is somehow perfectly orderly. It is a sound that occupies the mind completely, leaving no room for anxious thoughts. The rain washes your mind clean, just as it washes the stones outside. Occasionally, A distant roll of thunder murmurs in the sky. It is not a crack or a bang, but a low, vibrating growl, miles away and moving further. It sounds like heavy furniture being moved in a room far above. It adds a sense of scale to the night, reminding you of the vastness of the sky, making you feel small and protected in your bed. The thunder rolls and fades, leaving only the steady drumming of the rain in its wake. You visualize the garden you smelled earlier. You see the sage bushes bowing under the weight of the water, the leaves glistening and dark. You see the thirsty earth drinking its fill, turning black and rich. You see the stone pathways shining like mirrors, reflecting the gray light of the clouds. The world is being renewed while you sleep. The work of growth and healing is happening outside, mirroring the work of healing happening inside your body. A small draft finds its way under the door, carrying a whistle of wind that joins the chorus. It rattles the latch gently, clack, clack, a reminder that the wind is trying to find a way in, but cannot. The door holds. The latch holds. You are secure. The structure of the building is testing its strength against the weather, and it is winning. This knowledge settles deep in your bones. You are in a safe place. Your breathing slows down even further, sensing with the slow, repetitive nature of the storm. Inhale, rush of rain. Exhale, rush of rain. The sound acts as a carrier wave for your consciousness, lifting you up and drifting you along. You feel heavy, like a stone at the bottom of a river. Let the current flow over you. The dampness in the air softens the skin of your face, making it feel cool and smooth. The feverish heat is gone, replaced by this temperate balance. You feel clean. The atmosphere of the room feels scrubbed, purified by the proximity of the storm. You snuggle deeper into the pillow, the feathers crunching softly near your ear. The sound of the rain seems to wrap around your head, a helmet of sound. You are in the center of the storm, the eye of the hurricane, the place where everything is still. As the minutes pass, the rain maintains its steady intensity. It shows no sign of stopping. It is a commitment from the sky to the earth. You feel a deep gratitude for the roof, for the foresight of the builders who laid the stones and cut the timber. They built this for you, for this exact moment, so that you could lie here, dry and warm, listening to the water fall. The candle burns lower, the wax pooling around the wick. The light is dimmer now, a deep, sleepy orange. The shadows have merged into a single, embracing darkness that sits in the corners of the room. The visual world is fading, leaving only the auditory world of the rain. It is a hypnotic, mesmerizing cadence. Patter, drum, splash, hiss. It loops and repeats, a mantra of water. It tells you to sleep. It tells you that everything is taken care of. It tells you that the world will be clean and new in the morning. You feel a heaviness in your eyelids that is irresistible. The rain is pressing them down. The boundary between your body and the bed is dissolving. You are just a warm point of consciousness in a world of water and stone. The rain is a blanket of sound, heavy and thick. You pull it over you. You let it drown out the silence. You let it wash you away. The drops continue to fall, millions of them, each one a tiny affirmation of life. They tap against the shutter like fingers drumming a lullaby. Tap, tap, hush, hush. The midnight rain holds you in its wet, cool embrace, guarding your rest, keeping the world at bay, ensuring that your sleep is deep, dreamless, and undisturbed. The rain outside has settled into a gentle, continuous rhythm, a backdrop of soft static that emphasizes the stillness within the room. In this protected quiet, a new sensation begins to stir, distinct from the heaviness of sleep or the lingering warmth of the medicine. It is a subtle awakening of the senses, a signal from deep within your body that the tide of the illness has turned. The fever, which had previously suppressed all desire for sustenance, has retreated enough to leave a hollow, quiet space in your center, a space that is now asking, very gently, to be filled. You become aware of a scent before you see its source. It drifts towards you on the cool, damp air of the room, weaving through the smell of the beeswax and the rain. It is a savory, rich aroma, unmistakably domestic and grounding. It smells of slow, simmered bones, of onions cooked until they are translucent and sweet, and of a pinch of salt thrown into boiling water. It is the smell of a kitchen hearth, of a pot that has been bubbling on the back of a fire for hours, extracting every ounce of goodness from the ingredients. This scent does not overwhelm. Rather, it invites. It wakes up the salivary glands in a way that feels like a forgotten memory returning. From the shadows near the door, the silent attendant emerges once again. This time, they carry a small wooden tray, held steady with both hands. On the tray sits a simple, round bowl made of turned wood, polished by years of use to a deep, warm brown. There is no steam billowing furiously from it, only a gentle, curling wisp that suggests a perfect, edible warmth. The attendant places the tray on the bedside table with a muted thud, the wood of the tray meeting the wood of the table in a soft, natural contact. You stir under the heavy wool blankets, feeling a newfound strength in your muscles. It is not a vigorous energy, but a quiet capability. You find that you can push yourself up against the pillows with less effort than before. The attendant is there to assist, of course, rearranging the straw, stuffed cushions behind you to create a supportive, upright position. But you feel the difference in your own frame. The trembling weakness has been replaced by a steady, If tired, stability. You are ready to receive. The bowl is lifted and placed into your hands. The wood is smooth and warm, devoid of the harsh heat that pottery sometimes holds. It feels organic and soft against your palms, almost like living tissue. You can feel the weight of the liquid inside, shifting slightly as you settle the bowl in your lap. It is a comforting weight, a promise of substance. You look down into the broth. It is a clear, golden liquid, catching the low light of the candle flame. Small circles of fat float on the surface, glimmering like tiny, edible coins. There are no heavy chunks of meat or vegetables to tax your digestion. Only the pure, distilled essence of the food. It is clarity in liquid form. A spoon is placed in your hand. It is carved from a single piece of light, colored ash wood, the bowl of the spoon worn smooth and shallow. It feels light and balanced between your fingers. You dip the spoon into the broth, disturbing the golden surface. The liquid swirls gently, releasing a fresh wave of savory steam that bathes your face. You lift the spoon to your lips, the movement slow and deliberate. The first taste is a revelation. It is salt, mineral, sharp, and bright. After the hours of fever and the bland taste of water, the salt feels like a spark lighting up the darkness of your palate. It is the taste of the earth, of the sea, of life itself. Behind the salt comes the rich, umami depth of the chicken, a flavor that feels round and complete. It coats your tongue, warm and soothing, washing away the lingering bitterness of the willow bark medicine. You swallow, and the warmth travels a familiar path down your throat. But this time it feels different. It feels like building material. It feels like repair. As the broth hits your empty stomach, you feel a distinct sensation of gratitude from your own body. It is a feeling of, yes, this is what was needed. This is the fuel that will stoke the internal fires and drive out the last of the cold. You take another spoonful. The rhythm of eating is meditative. Dip, lift, sip, swallow. There is no rush. The rain continues its steady drumming outside, a companion to your meal. The candle flickers. The room waits. You focus entirely on the sensation of the wooden spoon against your lips, the texture of the liquid, the feeling of the warmth spreading from your core out to your extremities. With each swallow, you feel a little more tethered to the world of the living. The faint dizziness that had plagued you begins to recede, replaced by a grounded heaviness. The broth seems to be knitting your unraveled edges back together. You can feel the energy seeping into your blood, moving to your fingertips, your toes, your eyelids. It is a quiet miracle of biology, the conversion of simple soup into human strength. The wooden bowl retains the heat well. keeping the broth at the perfect temperature until the very end. You tip the bowl slightly to catch the last few spoonfuls. The wood grain on the inside of the bowl is visible through the remaining liquid, a landscape of swirling lines and knots that you trace with your eyes. It is a simple object, humble and functional, yet in this moment, it feels like the most precious chalice in the world. You finish the last drop. The feeling of fullness is not heavy or bloated, but satisfied. Your stomach feels settled, a warm anchor in the center of your body. The hollow feeling is gone, replaced by a comfortable density. You hand the empty bowl back to the attendant, who takes it with a silent nod. The weight has been transferred from the bowl to you. You have taken the warmth into yourself. The attendant wipes your hands with a warm, damp cloth, removing any trace of the meal. The cloth feels rough but cleansing. Then the tray is removed, the chair is pushed back, and the immediate space around your bed is cleared once more. You slide down from the upright position, nestling back into the warmth of the bed. The movement feels luxurious. Your body, now fueled, is ready for the final, restorative stage of sleep. The wool blankets feel heavier now, in a good way, pressing you down into the mattress. The heat from the broth radiates from within you, meeting the heat of the blankets to create a perfect equilibrium. The taste of the savory herbs lingers pleasantly in your mouth, a reminder of the care you have received. You run your tongue over your teeth, feeling clean and satisfied. The hunger has been silenced. The thirst has been slaked. The pain has been dulled. There is nothing left to want. You close your eyes, and the darkness behind your lids is no longer spinning or feverish. It is a calm, velvet black. You feel a deep, permeating sense of safety. You have been watched over, medicated, and fed. You are a guest of this sanctuary, and it has provided for your every need. The sound of the rain seems to have softened slightly, or perhaps your hearing is just dulling as you drift closer to sleep. It is a rhythmic sha. From the world, a command to rest. You feel your heartbeat, strong and slow, fueled by the nourishment you have just consumed. Thump, 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 thump. It beats against the mattress, a steady drum of life. Your breathing deepens, the rise and fall of your chest becoming longer and more pronounced. The air in the room is still cool and damp, fresh with the rain. But you are a furnace of warmth. You are safe inside the stone, inside the wool, inside your own recovering body. The simple broth has done its work. You are whole again, ready to drift into the deepest, most healing sleep of all. The night, having served its purpose of protection and restoration, begins to slowly withdraw from the room. It does not leave all at once, but thins out gradually. The deep velvet black of the corners fading into a soft, translucent gray. The heavy curtain of the rain has lifted, leaving behind a silence that feels scrubbed clean and new. You open your eyes, not to the heavy gloom of illness, but to the pristine, pale clarity of the dawn. The window, where the shutter stands slightly ajar, frames a slice of the sky that is no longer dark, but a tender pearl, like white, hinting at the gold that is to come. You lie still for a moment, conducting a silent inventory of your own body. The first thing you notice is the temperature. The intense, radiating heat that had lived under your skin for days has vanished, extinguished by the rest and the remedy. You lift a hand to your forehead. Your skin feels cool, dry, and natural to the touch. The sweat has dried, leaving you feeling light and airy, as if a heavy suit of armor has been unbuckled and removed from your chest. The bedclothes, once a heavy weight to pin you down, now feel like a gentle embrace that you can cast off at will. You take a deep breath, and the air that fills your lungs is the sweetest you have ever tasted. It is cool, carrying the sharp, energized scent of the wet garden outside. It smells of damp stone, of washed leaves, and of new beginnings. There is no congestion, no resistance in your chest. The breath flows in deep and clear, reaching the bottom of your lungs, revitalizing your blood. You feel a sense of internal equilibrium, a balance that has been restored. The storm in your body has passed, mirroring the storm outside, and now there is only the calm aftermath. Outside, the world is waking up in a hush. From the direction of the cloister garden, a single sound breaks the silence. Not a bell this time, but a melody. It is the morning song of a blackbird, clear and flute-like, tumbling through the cool air. It is joined by another, then another, a gentle, chaotic choir of small lives celebrating the return of the light. The sound is cheerful, but not jarring. It weaves through the open window, painting the room with the vibration of life. It is a reminder that the world has continued to turn, that the sun has returned, and that life goes on, vibrant and indifferent to the shadows of the night. The light in the room shifts again, the gray turning to a pale, washed out blue, and then, slowly, to a warm, diluted gold. The sun has cleared the horizon or the monastery walls, and its first rays are reaching for the infirmary. A beam of light, sharper and brighter than the sunset of yesterday, strikes the stone floor. It does not retreat this time. It advances. It creeps across the uneven flagstones, highlighting the texture of the rock, revealing the grains of sand in the mortar. It reaches the leg of the wooden stool, turning the old oak to a glowing amber. You push yourself up, sitting against the headboard. The movement is fluid. Your head remains clear. The room does not spin. You feel a quiet strength in your spine, a readiness that was absent before. You look around the room with fresh eyes. It is the same room, the same stone walls, the same timber beams. But it looks different now. It is no longer a cave of confinement, but a safe harbor that has sheltered you through the storm. The terror of the sickness is gone, replaced by a profound appreciation for the solidity of the walls that held you safe. The dust motes have returned to the shaft of sunlight, but they do not look lazy and heavy as they did in the afternoon. Now they seem to dance with a faster, brighter energy. They swirl in the golden column, tiny specks of matter caught in the glory of the morning. You watch them rise and fall, mesmerizing and beautiful, a microscopic celebration of the new day. They are like tiny stars that have been brought indoors, floating in the ether of the quiet room. You swing your legs over the side of the bed. The movement is significant. It marks the transition from the horizontal world of the invalid to the vertical world of the living. Your feet touch the stone floor. It is cold, but the sensation is bracing and welcome. It grounds you. You wiggle your toes against the stone, feeling the hardness, the reality of the earth beneath you. You are connected again. The door to the corridor is still closed, but you know that soon the latch will lift, and the attendant will return, not to nurse a sick person, but to greet a healed one. The thought brings a warm glow of gratitude to your chest. You are grateful for the silent footsteps, for the cool hands, for the bitter medicine, and for the simple broth. You are grateful for the wool, for the straw, and for the roof. This gratitude is not a loud emotion. It is a quiet, steady hum in your heart, as consistent as the morning light. You wrap the blanket around your shoulders like a cloak, sitting on the edge of the bed, watching the light conquer the last of the shadows in the corners. The room is fully illuminated now, every detail sharp and clean. The dried herbs hanging from the rafters have lost their mystery. They are simply plants again, waiting to be used. The water jug is just a jug. The candle in the niche has burned down to a stub, its job done, its flame extinguished in the face of the greater light of the sun. There is a profound stillness in this moment of recovery. It is a pause between the end of the ordeal and the beginning of normal life. You are in no rush to leave. You sit in the pool of sunlight, letting it warm your face, letting it dry the last dampness of the night from your skin. You close your eyes one last time, not to sleep, but to savor the feeling of wellness. You are whole. You are rested. The long night is over. The torches flicker in your memory. The corridor quiets. A gentle breeze brushes the stones. The light holds you in a warm, weightless embrace. The silence is perfect. The peace is absolute. Now take a deep breath, and may you have a peaceful sleep.